Regular Board of Education meeting at 6:31. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Regular Board, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we do roll call, I would like to ask for a moment of silence. We had a staff member, Christian Targansky, sorry for butchering your name, who lost her husband this past weekend. And so we'd like to have a moment of silence for the family and Kristen. Thank you. Roll call,
Vinnie Cadadella.
Shelley Lacey Castleman.
Debbie Sherman.
Stephanie Miller.
Nicole Vivian McGrath.
Joe Manisovis the fourth.
Vic Tomporowski.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we can move on to, if you'd like to address the board, if you don't mind going up to the podium, and I think the microphone.
Approve the minutes?
Oh,
I'm very bad.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve the March 14th Board of Education minutes.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Now, thank you, Mike. Now we can move on to audience of citizens. If you would please just state your name, and if you would go up to the podium so that we can hear you, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Christy Zawistowski. A couple quick questions. I know you can't answer me, but I'll just talk. First off, we had our forum. We felt like it was pretty informative. Thank you so much, guys. We're just wondering when the follow-up forum will be done and when the parents will get answers to the questions that they had. Another question and or concern that I have, got an email today. My son's an extremely picky eater. I got an email today that lunch was changed at the middle school. Last week or the week prior, there was no water at Quaker. I'm wondering if it's the same issue or if it's connected and what we're doing to rectify that. My last thing I have another question. It has to do with our forum. One of the questions was the iReady and kind of putting a freeze on homework for not just the middle school, but for all the schools. My daughter is in 5th grade. One of my children are in 5th grade, and she's panicking, kind of in the same boat as some of those middle schoolers, that she's got homework on top of homework on top of homework. So just kind of looking what we can do to fix that problem. I know you guys have iReady coming in to give you some type of training, so maybe we could put a freeze to that and wait until you guys get your training so we could see how we could properly do it. I know some teachers are doing it great, and I know some teachers don't really use it properly. My last thing, it's a little sensitive, is the whole central office to goes. I just am really asking you, in light of what happened yesterday, I just feel like opening those doors to the public and letting public people, accidents happen. Nobody expected that side door to be open at that Nashville school yesterday. And allowing the public inside our school where our babies are, I just feel like it's irresponsible and would be reckless. And you never know what can happen. And the kids are outside at recess there. It's not a high school. It's not even a middle school. We have babies there. And yesterday really hit home for me. And that was the first thing that came to my mind was, holy cow, next year central office could be in the school that our kids are at and anybody can get in there. I know you guys are saying it's blocked off, but accidents happen, and welcoming the public just makes that room a little bit tighter. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Name,
Patty Tuttle. Just wanted to say, it's been a long time. I've done Zoom meetings. I've been in this town for half my life. My children have come through the district, seen a lot, and I just want to say first, as a resident, I appreciate the board and the super. I know there's a lot going on, and I've seen a lot through the years, but I have faith in you, and I appreciate you. So, thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Before I start, is it okay if a letter that another parent wrote that couldn't attend tonight is read by myself?
I think it's, I don't know. Oh, you have permission to read it?
Yes, I do from her. Is that something I'm allowed to do though? I don't know the protocol for that. She's not able to attend the meeting, but she wanted this to be read.
She's a resident? And she's a resident of Oxford?
She's a resident and she has 2 of her children in the school system already. Is this even on? And she has another one upcoming into the system as well.
And so you're just reading the letter or are you?
Reading her
speaking as well?
letter. Is that okay?
Yeah, what's her name?
Stephanie O'Rourke,
And your name?
Tammy Bogart.
Sure.
Members of the Oxford Public School Board of Education, please take careful time and consideration to hear my concerns. It is very troubling that many things are not being taken into consideration. As stated in a newsletter that came out last week, a Board of Education corner stating multiple facts about the central office being moved. It stated that the Board of Ed spends a lot of time at central office. How often does or any Board of Ed member visit Great Oak Elementary School or any other schools for that matter? Does any member of the board know the day-to-day operations of any school? How do they function in the rooms they utilize for services, testing, behavioral situations, fulfilling IEP expectations, or 504 plans for our students? The fact is, at Great Oak Elementary School, 3 5th grade classes might need to be moved, 2 special education rooms, and 3 more resource rooms, including possibly the library being dismantled and our district's behavioral and analyst. With the library possibly being made smaller, and reading labs will be paired with math labs, so the space will be cut as well. This now makes the total staff affected 13, and the approximate number of students are 17 third graders with referrals being tested, 13 fourth graders and more referrals being tested, and possibly 12 to 15 incoming second grade students, with 8 or more students in other resource rooms. There are students who are also utilizing the rooms for enrichment that will be displaced and or forced into smaller spaces for their learning. In addition, has anyone considered the amount of children and mixed ages of those children that will use 1 bathroom for each gender? Also, it is stated that the square footage of the building has been recognized as a certain number. Was that including hallway space? Where will all the 5th grade lockers be put and how much space is being counted for that square footage? Why are we not considering the use of a portable building on a school property to house the central office and attaching it to the existing building for power, et cetera? And this way the cost will still be under 4 buildings, or considering an addition to one of the schools. If we take space away, we cannot go back, and there are many more challenges and changes to be had over the next few years with an influx of students coming along, especially with the developmental and academic delays still lingering from the loss of services and classroom time from COVID. There are currently 7 first grade classes. Where will 7 third grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade classes be housed when that class moves up each grade level? Is central office going to relocate for a 4th time in another 2-year window? In conclusion, the relocation of the central office to any school is not the right choice. All of the schools need to be able to handle the accommodations of our ever-changing student population and the various needs each student has each year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay, hearing none, thank you so much. So, board correspondence, anything, Mike?
No.
Okay. Update on central office relocation plans, Robert.
So good evening. One of the questions that we were trying to explore was what would the savings be if we relocate into office? Because one of the main rationale is that the expenses to the district is quite high for us being in this building from a utility perspective, electricity, oil, as well as water. And then you factor in all the repairs. This is the oldest building in the district. So we took a deep dive into the finances, and I added into the agenda what the expenses were over the previous school year. And between heat, oil was 51,000, electricity was another 31,500, factored in pest control 2,300. The AED renewal licenses for this building, another 1,000. We had snow removal for 15,000, trash removal, another 6,000, custodial services, 10,500. The alarms of this building, 6,500. Various different inspections for lights and air in this building, 3,000. Water, 7,000. Custodial services, 3,500. When you added in the 16,000 for repairs to this building last year alone, we were looking at over $150,000 that we spent to be in this building last year. And as far as my main concern is to make sure that we have the right resources for kids. And if we are using those resources to pay for us to be in this building, if we can reallocate those funds for student and teacher resources, that's what we're here for. And that's what we need to allocate and reallocate our funds to support the students and the teachers in the schools so that they have the right resources that they need. So I've shared with you the expenses. I also shared with you the expenses for us to move into for the repairs for this year. This year alone, we've faced $14,900 for repairs in this building. So that's between 2 years. We spent $28,000 in repairs. We're not even done with this fiscal year yet. So I just wanted to share with you a recap of that. We had an opportunity to show the facility committee and any board member that wanted to see at the facility committee meeting at 5:30 this evening, the space that we are proposing to take over as a reminder so that the general public's aware. It would be a separate parking area, a separate entry into the building. The gate would be moved further back into the building to prevent access like it is now, so you wouldn't have general public or anybody driving back where students are. There would be a locked vestibule that would prevent anyone coming in and even into central office before they're cleared by a secretary. And there would potentially be an additional 2 locked proxy ID doors separating central office to the main part of the building. So there's several opportunities to prevent any unwanted person from gaining access to the main part of the school. And that's more security than right now the school has entering the building through the main lobby. So that it would be additional layers of protection the school has. In terms of space-wise, we'd be looking to move 3 regular education classrooms and 1 special education classroom and 1 classroom that's used by interventionists as office space and some instructional area that they work with students. We feel that we can offset and move the library into one of the 2 intervention rooms. And where the library currently was 3 classrooms when it was the middle school. So we can make those 3 classrooms what is currently in the library, and that replicates what the building had prior to it. If there is an increase in enrollment down the road, there are still additional spaces that could be used for classroom space without eating into other areas of the building. If there is a bubble, we can accommodate that. The enrollment shows that there is a peak in 3rd grade, but we don't anticipate that peak staying in 3rd grade. So we anticipate that 3rd grade becoming a 4th grade, becoming a 5th grade potentially. And we don't even know if that 3rd grade is going to even stay in the budget based upon any budget cuts that we see this April. So where we stand right now with the central office relocation plans is we have met with a core group of teachers and para at Great Oak Elementary School to explore the ideas. It was through them that we arrived at using the library as that space. What needs to be decided is who would go into those classrooms. And if we did add a third grade classroom, which classroom space we'd use for that. So we were planning to meet with them one more time. We are actively getting quotes for any repair work that needs to be done. We anticipate our move replicating to some degree what we did here, which is basically putting up some walls. We anticipate tearing down a small portion of a wall to make a window for a reception to see out to the lobby. But we're not talking about heavy construction. We're also not planning on renovating the bathrooms until the core parts of the bathroom get done for the students and staff in that school. Speaking of the bathrooms, we are currently actively getting quotes to figure out what we need to do to fix up the bathrooms in the middle part of the building. And I'll address that in the superintendent report as well. But in terms of the overall cost, I don't have that yet. We're currently actively working, getting the quotes that we can present to the Board of Education and what the expenses would be for that. I can answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. Based on, let's say enrollment numbers do go up and they balloon, which is a good thing for the town. How many classrooms do you think without serious renovation would we be able to add if needed?
We have in the main part of the wing leading to the fourth grade wing, there's 2 large SRBI rooms that theoretically could be made into 4 classroom spaces. And then those interventions could go elsewhere in the building. There's enough space to jigsaw and move people around. So we theoretically could add 4 classrooms, and the director of special education has informed me that the special education classrooms in the building were regular classrooms before are too large for special education. And those rooms themselves could be subdivided into more instructional spaces that are more the size that a special education classroom can and should have. So there's enough room to accommodate bubbles if we had that.
And the music room is staying downstairs. There's no change to the downstairs.
Right. Using this plan, once again, this is the plan that was proposed by the fire marshal to not use the downstairs space, and it mirrors the projections in the option B that was in the facility study from 2016. So the music and the art classrooms downstairs remain untouched. The classrooms that are currently in use downstairs are special education related services right now. Those remain untouched. And there's actually an unused classroom downstairs that theoretically could be used for a regular education classroom or special education room down the road. Right now it's vacant.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Deb.
So if we had a parent meeting or a situation where we thought there was going to be a problem, or if we didn't think there was going to be a problem, and we wanted to take PPT, a parent meeting, an expulsion hearing off premises, off the campus of Great Oak, we could certainly go to the library. We could certainly go to another town-owned building to do that, correct?
Absolutely. And not that we ever want to expel a student, but if we did, typically those are done after school hours when there's no students in the building anyway. If there is any controversial meeting that's taking place that we think that would be something that we had a concern from a security standpoint, we can house it at the town library. We can even come back to this facility. There's other places that we can go. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the central office where a meeting is taking place.
I think that's what similar other towns do. Some other towns have actually taken their hearings outside of their school building.
Correct.
Well, the
Correct.
majority of PPTs are done in the schools already, right? They're not, most of them are not at central office.
I don't think we've had more than a handful of PPTs here, and typically, and when we did have PPTs here, it was during COVID when we were not having public in the schools.
I might be asking a redundant question at some point, but what is your visitor log during the day?
What is our, we don't get many visitors.
Would you compare that there's more visitors across the street at the library than there are at central office?
I couldn't tell you how many people go to the library, but typically we don't have public coming in here. Typically people coming in here are those that are being interviewed for a central office role or somebody that has already been in the school for a school-wide interview and is being recommended to the superintendent for the final interview.
Mhm.
So they've already been vetted and in the school to begin with.
Mhm.
And then once they are hired, they go through the hiring process. So they've already been vetted by the school, vetted by our central office and admins, and then they go and they work with the HR secretary and the payroll secretary to get the paperwork done. So they've already been vetted through the school to begin with. If the other publics that come in here are those sometimes parents that have a desire to meet with either Director of Special Education or myself to go over a various concern. And sometimes we meet with the bus driver or the bus manager who are with our kids anyway. And they would come over and meet with us. We don't have a lot of public that comes into the facility.
And I'm just curious, the Malone McBroom study that was done in 2016 that made this recommendation, now they would consider all safety aspects. I mean, this isn't like Bob's, facility study.
This is a major firm in the state of Connecticut that does this line of work, and they take that into consideration. And in fact, we are actually proposing to add on to their schematics additional layers of security to more than they had originally projected in the first place.
Now, I participated in a few security meetings over the summertime
Yep.
with various stakeholders that
Right.
were involved. And to say that security is taken lightly in this district, I would say that's a misstatement. I think anybody that sits on this board, including myself, thinks that the child's safety on a site is the most important thing. And I wouldn't sit here and say, well, let's haphazardly do this, by willy-nilly. Okay. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I got on this board to change the direction. And anybody that knows me from what went on prior administrations and stuff, where there was no openness, there was no discussion. There was FOI violations that were filed all the time. And what's going on recently, and I see, disgusts me, because nobody wants to come here and put up with that. Everybody has their vested interest in what's best for the kids in this school, including you. I got quotes from 2016 from social media. Same people. I don't want to stand here and read them. But you know what it said? Oh, I wish they wouldn't roll their eyes. I wish they would pay attention. Everybody on this board, I think, is going above and beyond. And I've made personal phone calls to somebody to meet with me. I'm sorry. I'm passionate about what I do. And I got on this board to make sure that it was the best. I got kids in this district. They all went through this school. Excuse me, you're doing exactly what I just said. Can you please give me your undivided attention? I'm sorry. I'm a little passionate like you are. Thank you. Very sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Listen, I want to do what's best for everybody. Okay? I want to do what's best for the kids.
Joe, could you take a moment just to remind the public on how we arrived here today? How did we begin looking at where central office would go?
Discussion started. We're talking about budgetary items, and one of the things that obviously we evaluate is capital improvement. And we did discuss with other people, including the finance board, what's possibly going on with the school. This school down here, or former school, apparently is going to become something for the communities. I hope it's going to be good for the kids. We don't want to have workers in this building. There's going to be a lot of work in the next few years from what I'm told out here. And, why do we want to have it disrupting a work environment for our people in the Board of Ed when they should be concentrating on curriculum? They should be writing stuff like that. And not just that, but if I can turn $150,000 in resources to turn over to the kids without sacrificing safety, I think it's a home run. I don't understand where this adversarialness is coming from. I really don't. It's troubling to me. I moved to this town to better my life for myself, my family, and my kids. I mean, I'm sorry, but to get here where we were, this building is going to be albatross to us. If the roof leaks, we're on the hook for it. We got to pay for that. You know where that's coming from? Out of your kids. The stuff that we can reinvest in and get coaches, and other things. Sorry, it's just, I expect better from people. I have respect for people. I do. You know, it's not us versus them. It just should be, we'll do what's right here.
And then from the subcommittee,
We took a walk through the school
Right.
today.
Yeah.
And listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm a straight shooter. I call balls and strikes. I know it's baseball season. There's a lot of space up there, people. It's a lot of space that's not being utilized properly. I'm sorry. It's what I see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing something. Convince me.
Joe, just for a second, in case some of the folks in the audience don't know what you do for a living, maybe you should tell them where your security and safety deep knowledge.
Again, I can't
resides.
go into
So-
too much security stuff. I specialize in, anybody knows me, I mean, I think nobody knows what I do for a living, but I have a strong IT background. It sickens me what went on in Tennessee. I would never want to see that in this town or in this area. It affects everybody. The problem is it's always, I don't want to say it's a moving target because I think it's a bad analogy, but it's always something that can be improved upon. And I can't go into great detail about all the discussions I've had about security in this town with certain officials in town that are responsible for that. They're willing, they want to always tighten up and harden a building. Our kids are the most important thing to protect.
Joe,
So
where do you do IT? That's what I was trying to get to. Where do you do IT?
I do
Is it okay?
work for the town of Seymour. Everybody knows that.
Okay.
But my point is, I don't want to put my kids in the middle of a discussion to say, well, you know, they're the reason why we need to do this. And because what happened in Tennessee, where it's going to happen here, it could happen anywhere. It's sad. It happened in Newtown. And there's, in my mind, I know that there's other things that we could do, and it's all been talked about. I can't go into detail about that because we don't want to disclose plans and we don't want to disclose those discussions. But it's important. It is one of the most paramount things that on me that I would look at first and foremost. I wouldn't want to sacrifice that or lower that standard. That would never happen. In my opinion, never happen. That's why we have, you know, Officer Nichols is up there. He's one of the greatest guys. I know him for 30 years. He'd do anything for your kids up at that school. He's the first line of defense. I could sit here for 20 minutes and look at deficiencies in every building. I can walk in this property in 20 minutes. I can tell you the deficiencies here. Nobody is sacrificing our kids. Never happened. Not on my watch. So I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm a little passionate. I take things to heart, sometimes too much. But to think that anybody on this board is not part of the community would think that's insane. To me, I just can't logic. I got 9 people up here. They get along great with everyone. Democrats, Republicans, everybody's on here for the right reason. I'll tell you that. And in the spirit of full transparency, I just went down to another town. Their budget numbers aren't even listed for the public to look at. Dr. Miller's put, and Mike Kusa has put every budgetary line item in cost center on it. We never had that transparency here. Never. But I digress. But thank you. Listen, I'm open and available to anybody. Please come see me. I'll listen to you. Might not agree at some point, but I'll listen.
thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Stephanie, can I add?
Please.
So I just want to start by saying, thank you, Dr. Miller. You make our lives easier. You are transparent when we ask questions. The whole central office move, you are doing it because the board asked you to look into it and to specifically look at options that will save us money and allow us to stop putting money into this place and to put more money towards our kids. And it's not just money, it's also time and resources and attention. We don't want to keep our eyes off the prize. The prize are the kids. And that's what we're putting our time towards. Just talking about, like, we had the meeting with the parents, I think it was last week. We do plan on getting back to the parents probably in the next month. We want to make sure we have the information ready to answer their questions. It's a long list. The fact that we have those meetings, the fact that we want to come back and answer the questions should demonstrate to the community that we do care, that we do listen and we do want to provide transparency when it's appropriate. Not every question will be able to be answered 100%. If there's a concern for security or, privacy or personnel details, those things are kept private for a reason. I will say this, I love the communication. When people want to come to these meetings and they care about their kids and they come and they speak their mind, we want you to do that. When we have open sessions where we have discourse back and forth, we want that. You want to go on Facebook, say what you want, First Amendment rights, it's a great thing. But I will say that there are some mean-spirited comments made that are mean-spirited. There are acts of, in my opinion, there's acts of bullying that we wouldn't tolerate towards our kids. We'd ask our parents to act as respectfully as we'd want our kids to be treated in schools. I don't think that's unfair or unreasonable, but I will say that we will still do our best, whether you say nice things or you say unhappy things towards us. We still have a job to do. We take it very seriously. I have a daughter who's in first grade. Now, my boys, they're older. They're going to be out of the school system in a year. My daughter's in first grade. She's going to be going to GOES. I know exactly what she's walking into. I know what those bathrooms are like. We're working on it. I know the space. We just did a walkthrough. I see what we're walking into. I see where the building is currently used. We see what the direction of the central office move will do to the building. I'm still, and we still don't have 100% of the facts, but based on the facts that I've received as an individual, I'm happy with the direction we're moving. I think we're going to use the space very well. And I think we're going to save a lot of money. And when my daughter in 2 years, actually not even, a year and change, she'll be going to GOES. And I'm still happy with the direction we're moving. And security. And I care very deeply about that. It's one thing to say, if I have no kids in the school system to be able to come up here and say, I'm fine with the security because I have no skin in the game. Well, I'm on the board and I have kids at the beginning and end of this district. And I care and I'm not going anywhere. And I care about the safety and security of these kids. We will answer what we can when we come back to the parents. And that meeting will be open to all parents, not just those who called for the meeting, but we're going to open it up so we can provide as much information as possible. So again, Dr. Miller, you are doing the job we asked you to do. You did not initiate it, but you took it on and we appreciate the work you're putting into it. Thank you.
Just one comment.
Go ahead, Sean.
And Stephanie will help me make it short. I recognize many of the parents here. I'm done now. And many of you have known me for many years. I think this is my 8th year on the board. I'd have to double check that, but I've been with a lot of board members, not even all of these for a long time. And before that, I watched as a parent from the audience for a long time. And I really genuinely have to tell you, as I often remind this board, I've not seen a better functioning board that respects one another's expertise and listens and responds to the community. And I hadn't seen that consistently in the past. So when Mike says and Joe says and Stephanie and everybody else, we do want you here. We do want to hear things, whether or not we all agree or disagree. I promise you will get the straight facts here. And I'm happy to see you all here tonight.
Thanks, Shelley. That was nice and short. You did a good job.
Well, at 4 words.
Okay, any further comment? All right, thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Miller. Ad hoc committee, this is back to you again, Joe. That's where we are, right? Ad hoc, yeah.
We've been talking about this for a while, and the subject of bathrooms makes my head hurt, but if anybody hasn't been following, the facilities committee, Dr. Miller, this started actually under Jason McKinnon. We worked with Brian Mysteriak and Mr. Temple to get everybody knows, everybody who's played sports in this district has gone to Oxford High School and has had to use those horrendous porta potties. So we're trying to get we put a water line and a sewer line in last year from the street down to the lower building by Wolverine Field. Brian Mysteriak, who's the town engineer, was very helpful in facilitating that. Dr. Miller and Dr. McKinnon were very instrumental in making that happen up there. But it's something that when that field went in up there, it kind of got stagnant for 10 years. And there was other phases that were supposed to be done, like I laugh and joke that Oxford does a lot of stuff in phases, but very long, very different. But what I want to do is that I talked to you, Stephanie, and Dr. Miller. We want to put an ad hoc committee together, us like a subcommittee off of the facilities. And I haven't talked to everybody on here, but we would like to get at least 7 people put on this to facilitate installing bathrooms to those water lines and sewer lines that we installed last year. It would be parents, members of the community, along with a few members of the board. I think that it's something that would be good for the community to have. If there are a lot of people coming from out of town and use the facilities, again, it's good for Oxford. It's good for an image of Oxford, and it's good for the kids and the parents because it's ours when we go up there. So I'd like to propose forming a committee and getting back next month and voting on possibly members on that committee. And this committee is going to be also not only looking at it as a capital project, but also be able to facilitate from the community, from Haynes and so forth, Oxford Paint and Lumbers, anybody in the community that would want to give back to help us make this happen up there. So I think it's a long time coming, and I think it's a worthwhile thing to continue to go.
Can you just read the top part so that we know what the charge of the committee
In
is?
an effort to improve and grow our Oxford High School property facilities, I propose and charge the following names and information of the committee. These names will be selected for their various expertise and provide directional resources to this proposed project. Right now, just obviously, the names I had put up here for, and again, I'm not set in stone because I've talked to some, I haven't talked to others. Be myself, Mike Kusa, Joe Stockmall, Michael Pride, Kevin Mullen, Michael D'Agostino, obviously. I have not talked to Jeff Luff or Brian Mysteriak, but I have talked to Jay Potsner, another parent. So these guys are bringing a wide variety of talents to make this project successful. So,
Right, so I think we need a motion to authorize me to appoint the advisory committee. So if we do that,
then you can vote on the
Right. So do you want to do the motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that we form the Oxford Location Restroom Construction Committee.
And authorize the chair
And
to
authorize
appoint,
the chair to-
to appoint people to the committee.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just have one question. I know we're talking about the bathrooms outside.
Yep.
And I just want us to make sure we're keeping the eye on the ball, that none of this is going to take away from getting our bathrooms in Great Oak.
No, I mean,
I just want to make sure so it's clear that
absolutely.
everybody understands
Totally
that
clear,
there are two
just so
opposite
that the
projects.
audience knows that our bathrooms are Great Oak will get done first. So that's the priority.
The goal of this committee is first and foremost to determine what the cost would be to put bathrooms there. That's step one. And then we would determine if we do know the cost, where the funds would come from. Would that be a request to the town for a capital project?
Right.
Would that come out of past revenue that came in from ticket sales and rental space, which is supposed to go back into that type of facility? But the initial part of this committee is to find out what the cost would be to do the actual work itself before even entertain where the funds would come from.
And I would also say if there's any board members that Joe did mention and you want to be on this ad hoc committee, then just let Joe know and we'll make that happen. So is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? Motion carries. So just to be clear, that motion is allowing me to authorize the ad hoc, but we're not going to do that until the
Right.
next meetings when we have all the yays and nays
Correct.
and whatever. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Professional segment.
Yes, we have a paraprofessional that just went through a personal tragedy in her life. The sick bank, according to the paraprofessional contract, is designed for if you're individually going through an illness. And what I've asked the Paraprofessional Association, which they've agreed to, and I'm coming to the board for, is to do a limited sick bank, which would cover 8 days that this paraprofessional did not have coverage to make her whole during this period of time. I already asked our attorney to drop the MOU, so I have a copy of that. So I'm asking for the board to do a motion this evening to allow Stephanie to sign an MOU to support this one paraprofessional for those 8 days.
We want to do a motion to authorize the board chair to sign the MOU for the paraprofessional sick day as discussed.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any further question or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just want to know that we take care of our people
Yeah,
and our
absolutely.
family.
So I recently had a moment of silence earlier for our staff member. As many of us are aware, there was a national tragedy yesterday in Nashville. There was a shooting in a school, and I'd like us to take just a moment of silence for the families and loved ones that lost that. Thank you.
Report.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to start with the bathrooms. That seems to be a major item these days. And just as a historical point of reference, the town gave $1.4 million to renovate what had been the Oxford Middle School to become the new Center School, which is now Great Oak Elementary School. Those funds, according to the Board of Finance, were supposed to go to fix the bathrooms in that building. The building committee, in alignment with the superintendent at the time, Dr. McKinnon, and the principal, Heath Hendershot, made a decision to use those funds to replace the cabinetry in the classrooms, to repair some of the floors. None of the funds which have been allocated by the Board of Finance for the bathrooms were actually used for the bathrooms. I've been advocating, I'm the only one that's been sitting for the last 2 years asking this committee to reallocate the funds to those bathrooms. I've asked them in meetings to not use specific funds for other purposes, to reallocate for those bathrooms. I have finally gotten the building committee to reconvene. They're meeting tomorrow night, the original building committee. There's $105,000 that's remaining in that budget. I've been asking for the last 12 months for them to do so. They're finally meeting tomorrow night. And they're voting to reallocate the remaining funds to renovate bathrooms in that building. I don't know if that's going to fix all the bathrooms. That is going to be at least a dent in it. We're currently working on an active quote. Mr. Stinger, our Chief Operations Officer, is working with plumbers to get quotes on what we need to do to repair all the bathrooms in that building. If the $105,000 does not do all the work we need to do, it is a $1 capital request again this year for our second year in a row. And if that's just a reminder to the public that this was a request last year as well. In fact, the Board of Finance did not list it for the public to vote on in that front time, despite this being our number one request for them to consider. What got funded was the pool at the high school and the playground at Quaker Farms, but this was a number one request to fix the bathrooms at Great Oak Elementary School, and it is again our number one request. We know at the Board of Finance who requested that the bathrooms be the number one item that they fix. And this is heavy on our radar. This is what we want to get accomplished, and we showed the building facility committee this evening and any board members that were there what the bathrooms look like, and they were dying in need of upgrade for both a physical standpoint but also from an AD standpoint. There's also questions about the actual hot water in those bathrooms. The water is not malfunctioning. There's comments from people that the water is not working. The water is working as it was designed to work. It was engineered so that it's the type of water tap that you press the button and the water comes out for a few seconds and it stops. Well, that's not enough time for the hot water to get from the hot water tank to the faucet for it to come out. So it's doing what's designed to do. It just, we don't like what it's doing, which is a difference. So bathrooms is our number one priority. We would like to address that. On to a couple of happy notes. I was informed earlier this morning that our athletic director, Joe Stockmore, was selected as the Unified Sports 2022 Athletic Director of the Year. So he did a wonderful job. We have a wonderful unified program in the high school, and John McCapra and the students that are involved, a huge number of students at participate. And the middle school has a wonderful unified program as well. So I just wanted to shout out congratulations to Joe for being selected for that. Earlier in the month, we had a wonderful performance at the high school with our high school musical. The students did a wonderful job. Thursday and Friday this week, our Great Oak performers are doing their musical. There's 4 performances, 2 learning that they're doing for other students, and then 2 performances in evening Thursday and Friday night. It's a performance that actually the whole thing was written by our music teacher at GOES. And the students helped to do some of the co-writing with him. So I'm excited about that. The theme is around 80s music. So that's really pretty neat. There's questions speaking about early in audience of citizens about the water situation in Quaker Farms and Bunch at the middle school. So let me address both of those. At Quaker Farms, the water comes into the building and it goes through basically a set of valves. And if that valve malfunctions, the water is designed to come back out of the building as opposed to flooding the building. Valve broke in the inflow of the water coming into the building itself. There's 2 Fridays ago around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That happens, the only way that water from the building is to shut off water to the whole building. So that's what we did. It was too late in the afternoon for us to send the students home. So we actually used the middle school bathrooms to have the students go to the bathroom till class is over, a little bit at a time to use the bathrooms, the facility there.
That's emergency intervention.
That's correct. So that was the second time that it's happened with that valve, and it happened, I believe, during Christmas break. So that's twice this year, and it's supposed to be certified on an annual basis. So if it's done properly, we also want to have a backup system in place so that if it breaks down, we have something on the shelf to then fix it with. So we've now have another part in place if that was to happen again in the future. But it's the type of thing that can only be fixed if the entire water is turned off to the bathroom, to the building. So that's what took place with that. That's completely disconnected from the middle school lunch situation today.
Right, but so are you saying that, because you said that's the second time that happened, so now we fixed it because it was a part that needed to be replaced?
Basically, you had to rebuild the mechanism so that.
So that's done, and then we also have a backup so that if it happens again, we don't have to wait, because I know there was a concern about getting the people.
It's a type of part that is quite expensive, so plumbers typically don't have it on their shelf. So the plumber that we were working with actually had to call all the plumbers in the state looking for something that had it, and I was able to find something that actually had one available. They had just gotten it in front of their job, and he was able to convince them to give it to us to get the job done.
But are you also saying we have a backup?
We now have a part that can be used as a backup.
Okay.
Yes.
And is this something that is wear and tear because of the life expectancy, or is this something?
It is. It's supposed to also be inspected on an annual basis, and I'm not too sure how effective that had been done. Yes, right. The situation at lunch at the middle school, there was a odor coming in from the sewage line in the kitchen itself. And out of an abundance of caution to make sure that there wasn't any bacteria going into any of the food, we felt the best thing for all students and staff in that building would not to be serving any food that was made in the kitchen today. So we made the call around 9:30 this morning to shut the kitchen down. The food provider Whitson's, they actually made their lunches in another school and brought them over to the middle school to serve the students. And because it was an emergency situation, they couldn't have a range of options that students typically would have had. They had to basically do what we used to do in COVID, which is here's a bag lunch and it's one option, that's it. This was an emergency type of a situation just to get food to the students.
And so whatever that problem was has been remedied?
Yes,
problem?
The problem has now been fixed.
And that's something, has that happened before? Or?
And to the best of my knowledge, that's never happened in my kitchen before.
I think that was a good solution.
Yes, I mean,
I don't think I'd want to launch with that order.
right.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
There was a question about already in fifth grade, and I will look into that with the principal to find out exactly what the status is with that.
Okay. And have we gotten notice of when the iReady is coming to district?
I think I have to confirm, it was supposed to be for the Board of Education meeting scheduled for next Tuesday night, the 4th, I believe it is, but I will verify that.
Thank you. I have nothing to report, so I can go to subcommittees. I don't know, Joe, if you have anything additional to add. And I will also note that it is called the Facility Safe School and Transportation Building Committee. So it's right in the title. Any other questions for Joe from the board in regard to facilities? Okay, thank you. Deb, curriculum?
We meet on April 3rd and hopefully we'll have some progress.
Looking away. Nicole, policy and quality?
We have not met since the last meeting, so there's nothing, nothing new to discuss at this time.
Okay, great. And Mike, finance?
So we met on the 21st. Good meeting. We have about 91% of the budget encumbered expended for the year. I was one of the highlights is some of the prior classes had leftover funds, and we were able to, working with Mr. Hibbert, we were able to spend down a lot of those funds for purchases for the schools, whether it was new banners or metal picnic tables for the seniors to sit on. We were able to kind of reallocate those funds because the goal is not for them to just sit there, but to be used for the classes and reinvest into the school from those prior seniors. Right now, we're kind of in limbo. We're waiting for the Board of Finance to weigh in on our budget. We presented a budget. We're waiting to hear back and go down that path. So I think in the next couple of weeks, we should hear something.
That's usually in April, right? And then the referendum is in May?
Yes.
According to their schedule, it's April 18th.
Okay. So April 18th is when we will find out what we get approved of.
That's the town meeting?
So will we find out before that?
No, it'll be after that,
Okay.
Right.
that we get, because that's
And
when
then we have
everybody
to-
gets to come talk.
If we
and
get caught,
It'll be,
then we have to go back to the drawing board
Correct.
and adjust the budget
As needed, yes.
however.
Right, and then we'll have just about a week and a half or 2 weeks for us to figure out exactly where those cuts are.
Right.
And that just a reminder to the public, there's not a lot of opportunity to gain input at that point. It's a matter of figuring things out really
Right.
quickly.
Yeah.
And we've already gone before the Board of Finance and, they were very pleased with our budget, but
Yeah.
they have to deal with, we're also the largest budget in the
Yes.
town, so they have to,
Yeah.
make sure that everyone gets taken care of. Are there any liaison reports? You went to PTO, I think, right?
I did go to the PTO meeting last Thursday. They are planning their spring book fair. And they're also planning the book fair for the fall. The book fair this spring is with a typical provider. The one in the fall, they're actually changing to a local bookshop that's at Monroe, which they're hoping is going to provide more opportunities. The person, since they're local, will be able to see the popular books and go back and bring more of that stuff back the next day. And it'll be nice for us to support and make a connection to a local store right next door to us, which would be nice. They're also planning for the Teacher Appreciation Week, the same pizza truck that they did last year for the 2 elementary schools and the middle school. Last year, the truck was right in the middle of the 3 campuses, right on middle school parking. And the teachers walked over, had custom-made pizzas, and they walked back. And it was very popular. So they're planning on again for Teacher Appreciation Weekend in May.
the other thing is there's a spring dance. I think the
Spring dance at the middle school is actually this Friday night.
And I am in contact with Oasis to see if we can get them to come into the middle school for a hidden in plain
Plain sight,
sight, presentation, or if there's a different presentation that's more appropriate to middle school students. So that will be something that will happen in the spring as well. Okay, hearing no other reports, then I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:25.
second.
I think I'm all in favor. All right, have a good meeting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you all.